The NBN rollout has been something of a political football with ambitious targets set and often missed.
But now the NBN has unveiled plans which, it's claimed, will put Australia's national broadband network back on track. Joining us now is the company's Chief Executive, Bill Morrow. Bill Morrow, good morning. Thank you for making time for us.
Good morning.
Part of this new rollout, many different areas across the country. Can you take us through what determined which households will get it in this rollout?
Right. So, of course, we're looking at efficiency. Our objective is by 2020 to get every home, every business connected to the NBN. In order to do that in that short of a time frame, we have to use a variety of different technologies that takes advantage of the existing infrastructure that's across the country today. This is a little bit of a learning process as we go. This is the first time this has ever been done here in Australia. So when we look at the next 18 months, the next 19 months of the schedule that we've given, we've factored in all of the trials, all the process improvements, and all the technology understanding that we have to be able to put this forecast out there.
But the forecast is all Australian homes by 2020. Do you have a better deadline for yourself than that as it concerns this particular rollout?
Well, this is a massive project, and I know there's a lot of people that are anxious to get this connection as soon as possible. That very demand justifies the existence of NBN and the fact that people are interested in having something to where we're all connected roughly at the same time. Because it is still over the 5 years, and we're talking about 10, 11, 12 million homes and businesses that need to be connected, to have a degree of accuracy in our forecast out that long is just impractical at this point in time.
So you're not actually giving yourself a particular forecast for this rollout. It's just the generalised forecast of the whole job being done by 2020. Is that so we can't hold you to some particular standard of being later on time in a year or so's time?
No, it's so that you can rely on the information that we're providing. I mean, again, I've done this numerous times around the country, and if you look at any major infrastructure project, it's so hard to predict when you're further out in time. So this is really just being responsible. We believe that we're going to get everything done by 2020, and as we get more confident in the process, as we have more experience under our belt, then you're going to see more and more of a forecast being rolled out.
Okay, so my question went to, though, what determinants you use to decide which areas. You say it's about efficiencies. Is that because you're already perhaps in or close to those areas that they've been selected?
Yeah, no, there's a variety of reasons that exist with us, Virginia. So if you take, for example, on our fiber to the node, the new technology that we're adding into the mix, depending on where the pillars are, depending on the condition of what we believe that plant or that copper to be in, that will help us gain the experience. It'll help us with expediting the rollout. And so factors like that are taken into consideration for us to be able to put over this next 18 or 19-month forecast.
The Financial Review today reports, and this is a quote, the list of locations to win access to the technology includes a large number of what are safe coalition and marginal seats. Were you aware of that?
No, I was not.
Is that relevant to our discussion today?
I don't get involved in any of the politics behind this. Again, my mission is clear. By 2020, we want to have every home connected. We want to have roughly 8 million of those connected and active with the NBN. We need to do this at a cost level that's below $29.5 billion of equity funding from all of the taxpayers here in the country, and that's all I'm focused on.
So what's been the result of talks between with Telstra and Optus over the copper and pay TV cable networks? Will the technology mix change during this rollout?
It'll change on the edge. I don't anticipate there being anything significant or material, but what happens is when we actually get into a given neighborhood, we may discover that the copper is not in the condition that we had expected it to be in or above the threshold level that we need it to be in. So you may see an alternative technology move from a fiber to the node over to either fixed wireless or maybe even a fiber to the prem.
So fiber to the premises is possible in a number of locations. If the copper is not up to it, you won't replace the copper. You'll actually go back to the plan that was originally announced by the then Labor government, fiber to the home.
I wouldn't say it's going back to any original plan, but we would look at the alternative technologies to see which is the best solution for that given neighbourhood.
And can you afford that? I mean, if you end up building fibre to the premises in a number of places, that's surely going to put pressure on your costs.
Indeed, it will. I mean, and this is a very expensive project as we look at this. And again, with so many uncertainties and new trails being formed, we anticipate some change. Now, again, I believe that we're going to stay within the $29.5 billion equity funding envelope. We'll have to pull debt to be able to finish the project and get us to a cash flow positive position within the company. There's nothing to suggest that we can't do that, but there's still a lot of uncharted territory that we need to move into.
Well, on that, you told a Senate committee hearing back in July that neither the government nor voters would be, quote, upset if 80% or even 90% of customers received fibre to the premises. In saying that, were you implying that fibre to the premises, that previous policy, is actually inevitable?
Well, no, listen, I think, first of all, that there's a big misunderstanding around this issue around technology. Now, this is just my personal view. But when I look at my experience of working in Asia, in Europe, and America, and I compare the country that I have fallen in love with here in Australia, one of our biggest issues is we don't have ubiquitous coverage across the nation. We're very limited in who has it. And if you look at economies and networks, the scales that we need to reach, getting access to everybody has to be first and foremost our priority. Doing it with the most economical manner, of course, it makes sense and is sensible for everybody since it is our taxpayer money. So by looking at the technology we use, reusing the existing infrastructure, giving everyone suitable speeds that meets their current needs and has a little bit of room for the future to be able to grow. And finally, Virginia, and this is a really important point, we aren't building this network as though it's going to stay in place for the next 30 years. We have an evolutionary path to where as demand grows, once we get everybody up and connected and we see all the benefits of e-commerce and e-education truly take effect within the country, if more demand outpaces the type of technology that we're using, we've already thought about ways in which we can upgrade. So it's not about choosing a particular technology. For me, it's about the breadth of getting this across the nation to where everybody can benefit from it.
But isn't that particular part of the technology, as it's evolved at the moment, inevitable in many circumstances, even as you concede this morning in relation to an ageing, in some places, ageing copper network?
I think fibre to the prem or fibre closer to the home is more likely. And let me just give you an example of this.
Not just to jump in there, so not so much fibre to the node, but fibre a bit closer to the home.
Yeah, that's always the way in which you can increase capacity. You just extend that fiber further to the home or to the business. That gives more capacity, and there's heaps of technology and R&D that's going into these various technologies that will allow us to do this. Okay. So this is not a snapshot in time. Let
me just quickly ask you one last question, which is about the issue of fibre to the premises is available, of course, if you pay, if a consumer or a resident is prepared to pay above and beyond the odds. What's that levelling out at the moment? Can you standardise that fee for us, for most consumers?
So the idea of the multi-technology mix, all the technologies which we've chosen are going to meet more than the average person's amount of bandwidth requirement. Where there is an exception, where a business in a remote area or a home that has a business out of their house, if they need more than that, then we'll make available a service which is fibre on demand. That service will allow them to have us come in and construct fibre all the way out to their house. We're actually building the model of how that would work, how that would be costed out. We're taking examples from around the world, everything from BT to Verizon in the US. And by the end of the year, we'll have a little bit more of an accurate picture of what that will look like. And we anticipate launching this in the first quarter of next year.